Well, hello, class, and welcome to Self and Social Identity in Christianity from Moody Bible Distance Learning. This is your fearless leader, Professor Jefferson, and I want to welcome you to week 5. We have made it halfway through the class. I am here this morning, not in school. It's actually we had school, but I don't work today. But for some of you, this would be an odd day. We have about half a foot of snow on the ground. It's 0 degrees, but the kids went to school. I didn't grow up that way in Memphis. If they said it was going to snow, and even if it didn't, they let out school. But we're going to get more snow tonight. We're going to get more snow tomorrow. We're going to get more snow on Friday. We're going to get more snow on Saturday night. So it's a snowy time of year in Illinois, and some of you understand that, and others of you are walking around in shorts. So whatever. Jesus loves you too. All right. So I really enjoyed last week. I enjoyed reading your elevator speeches, and I was just, when I read them, I kind of thought to myself, what if I'm a senior pastor? If I was a senior pastor standing in the elevator with you, and you gave me your spiel? Or what if I was a boss of some kind, or a missions organization leader, and you gave me your spiel? Or whatever your elevator speech was about. I just wondered, would I hire you, or would I want to know more? And I did. I wanted to know more on every one of them. So that was fantastic. And it's really good for you to think that way. I was actually asked to share my testimony and in a couple of weeks at a big group. And, I always taught my students, you can share your testimony in 30 seconds. You can share it in 1 minute. You can share it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or if they give you an hour. But you need to be able to do all of that. And so I have 7 minutes to share my testimony. So, an elevator speech is just literally when you get on the elevator, boom, there he is, and you have an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell him who he is. So you guys did a great job on that. Thank you. I also really enjoyed the question because I'd never used that question before, and we have gold medalists in changing diapers, cleaning the floor, sharing their opinion, playing golf, reading. There was a whole bunch more. It was really funny. There's a lot of stuff. Changing brakes on a car, and so I was very pleased with that question because it kind of showed me your personality. That was really cool. I'll go ahead and tell you the question of the week this week. It's simply, what is your dream job? And I'm going to preface this. It can't be ministry. Okay, that's already a given. We understand that. If it's not ministry, what would be your dream job? And for me, I think my dream job, if I couldn't replace Eddie Van Halen in Van Halen, I probably would want to be a DJ. I sat for many hours in my little room. It's Rock 103. We've got 16 songs in a row, and I would practice and everything. It just never happened. But that would be a cool job. That'd be a dream job for me. And so that's really cool. Get to hang out with rock stars, right? Get to interview people and whatever else. So that would be my dream job. Okay, we are on week 5. And week 5, we are going to do step 3 of the branding system. Now, I want to explain something to you. On the blackboard, in your discussion, in your prompt, it talks about canvassing. It talks about your canvas. That word is never mentioned in that chapter. I don't know why they use that word. Sometimes these shells confuse me. What you're going to do is you're going to fill out that template on step 3. Okay, your brand and your strengths and all of that, your brand promise and your cake and your icing. You're going to fill that out. You don't have to turn that in. You're just going to fill that out for you, and then you're going to look at where you are now versus where you want to be. And I don't know what that is. A year, 5 years, 10 years. And look at the gaps. And you're going to send me a 1 paragraph. Just one, please. 1 paragraph, double-spaced paragraph talking about what the gap is, what the gaps are, where you are now, where you want to be. I'm an example. I very much feel called to work specifically with men who are sexually compulsive. Or in the area of sexual addiction, men and their wives, men and their families. And looking at where I was, I have a master's degree, I have an LCPC. That's not enough, and I knew that. There was a gap. So I'm in a program called SATP, a sexual addiction treatment provider, specifically from a Christian perspective. And that is going to fill my gap. It's going to take a year, but that's going to help me get from here to there. Okay? So that's what you're going to tell me. You're going to tell me your gap. Well, what are the gaps that you see? And then for your discussion board, you're going to tell us a story, a summary of a story, a short summary of a story. You're going to tell us a story just about a time when you did something. Actually, what is it? Yes. You're going to give a brief summary of an experience in the form of a story. Talk about how your actions in the experience speak to your understanding of your Christian identity. How did it demonstrate your God-given gifts? Did it matter that you were a member of a church? Did it matter if you're a member of some other group? And for me, this is pretty easy. Last week, I have a friend. Actually, she's adopted me as her grandson. She's Grandma Stepro. She's 90. And her daughter has a boyfriend who's dying. And so he wanted me to tune his guitar. So I went over to tune his guitar, of course with another agenda, and shared the gospel with him. And so I used my gifts musically to help tune his guitar, and we talked about music and about guitars and all that stuff. But I also was able to share Christ with him. And if you actually would take a minute and pray for Wes, because he's not far from death. And he told me that, we really don't know who Jesus is, and we don't know what's going on. We don't know if he really said all that stuff. And he thinks there's other platforms and other dimensions, and heaven's just one, and you go through heaven to get to another. And I'm like, if you're right, then I'll just, get to that dimension, and I'll go on. But if I'm right, you've lost everything, my friend. And so that really is part of my gifting, to sit down with somebody, tune his guitar, and share Christ with him. So just tell us a story. It doesn't have to be a good story. It doesn't. It can be a story about where you blew it. Seriously, where you blew it. And I have a friend who this week talked about how she blew it in Walmart. She got angry. So it doesn't have to be positive. It can be negative as well, if you're comfortable enough to share that. All right. Prayer request. We had a baby born this week. Hey, I'll be honest with you. Any of you tell me that you're too busy to do your work? Rachel had a baby, and she turned in her work, and it was great. Okay, so welcome to the world, Abigail Francis. And I have another student in another class that lives in South Korea, and he called me. I've never gotten a phone call. It said South Korea, and he's in the hospital, and they think he has a tumor on his kidney, and he's freaking out. So would you please pray for him? His name is Tao, T-A-E-S-O-O, Tao So. Would you pray for him, specifically for peace? I think right now, school is not the most important thing in his life. I think they need to figure out what's exactly wrong with him and how to fix him. So, all right, that's it. I think that's everything. So if you have any questions, any comments, any prayer requests, please let me know. Onward and upwards.